Then there were the Facebook groups where you can meet up to buy insulin. So that's how I got connected with some people that I met up in parking lots with to get insulin. I needed it to live, so.
Brand new video from Lincoln Project affiliates. We got the full video at the end. It's devastating. Stay tuned.
You know, there have been so many times that Donald Trump has found himself in the middle of the night on the toilet, rage tweeting, simply because he is like oil and the truth is like water. That's what it comes down to. And with this subject, it's not that it's new, but it's that it's pertinent, right? When he delusionally somehow found himself believing in the lie that he was the one to lower the insulin cost, the prescription drug costs, because he did some ridiculous rule that never actually passed. I think that he actually, in some ridiculous sociopathic mental state, lies so much and starts to believe his own lies. After he convinced himself that he was the one to lower these prices, he went on a whole media tour.
Trump very weirdly tried to claim credit for something Joe Biden definitely did as president, saying that he's the one who did the insulin.
Kamala and Joe tried to take credit for $35 insulin. You know that. You know who did that? I did that. I did the insulin, and it kicked in. And you know, I remember when I did it, it had to be a statute. It was a certain statute that took a certain period of time. I said, I hope I'm elected because somebody's going to get a lot of credit for doing what I got done.
What are you talking about, my man? Obviously not true. Either lying or confused or some combination of the two. Because check this out. Here's Joe Biden signing that piece of legislation, a part of the Inflation Reduction Act, which, with no Republican votes, that gave Medicare the power to bargain down the price of a growing list of prescription drugs. Insulin was just the first of many.
And in his third grade level video game mentality, the one thing that actually could have lowered the prices is the one thing he didn't put in his plan.
And the president pledged to veto a plan from the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives that would ambitiously overhaul the whole drug pricing system. The Trump administration is opposed to one of the core tenets of the plan, allowing the government to negotiate with drug companies.
The Trump administration is opposed to one of the core tenets of the plan, allowing the government to negotiate with drug companies.
Like the book 1984, you can make people forget the truth. You can make up your own reality if no one else is pushing back against it. We have real stories. Once again, the Lincoln Project, not them, but on their site, they have this group called Democracy 2025. They do these long-form, heartfelt tearjerkers of real-life stories that remind us of what the actual truth is. Do you remember before you could get denied insurance because you had a pre-existing condition? Do you remember what the plethora of things that they considered pre-existing conditions to be? Cancer, diabetes. For those who forget, and for those who want to remember or remind themselves before they go vote, this is what the Democracy 2025 put out. And I got more Lincoln Project stuff coming all week that you need to see. Important stuff to share and see. Press the like button. Become a subscriber. Help to share this message. Help to remind people. Help to just share the collective reality that we live in and have it not be thwarted by a con man who believes his own lies. Watch this.
I promise.
I promise.
To always help those in need.
To always help those in need.
I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 17, and I had the biggest fear of needles. So I could not imagine anything worse happening to me than having an illness where I had to give myself like 10 pricks a day. The nurse was like, your parents need to get your prescriptions. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. My parents will pay for my prescriptions, no problem. They're my parents. She's like, I don't think you realize how expensive they are. And I think that was like the first moment I really realized we were like in over our heads.
People risking their lives, rationing their insulin because they can't afford to pay for the amount they truly need.
Prices of insulin doubled.
The high cost of insulin is forcing people to make life or death decisions.
I had just moved up to Atlanta. I was 2 months into grad school that I did lose my insurance. I was in panic mode because insulin cost hundreds of dollars a month that I didn't have. I would do princess parties every weekend to pay for insulin, but it was so hard to afford it and it was constant stress. I had to start looking at other ways to get my medications. The guy I was dating, his mom was a nurse, and so she would give me insulin her patients had partially used. I had friends whose grandparents passed away. I would ask them to send me their insulin, anything to add to what I had in the fridge. Then there were the Facebook groups where you can meet up to buy insulin. So that's how I got connected with some people that I met up in parking lots with to get insulin. I needed it to live, so. I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, hoping he would lower drug prices, but nothing changed at all. I still struggle to pay for insulin from month to month.
A diabetic who goes for too long without insulin could fall into a coma or even die.
I heard Harris mention insulin prices during the 2020 campaign. I remember being so excited because I was like, I have been crying about this for years and it feels like nobody's listening. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this actually going to change?
The vice president votes in the affirmative and the bill as amended is passed.
When the Biden and Harris administration was elected, they quickly got to work.
Harris stepping in to cast the tie-breaking vote.
Slashing the price of insulin and capping users' costs at just $35 a month.
I mean, it's saved lives. It really has.
Now, Medicare can use that power to go toe-to-toe with Big Pharma and negotiate lower drug prices.
Harris and Biden have negotiated cheaper drug prices for heart conditions, neurological conditions, arthritis.
Americans will save about $100 billion over 10 years as a result of these negotiations.
And Harris has vowed to expand it further if she's elected president.
Let Obamacare implode.
Trump has tried again and again to overturn Obamacare. But my diabetes is a pre-existing condition, which means I could lose my access to care.
So it terrifies people like me. At my princess parties, it's really cool because I get to wave a wand and kids think I make their wishes come true.
May all your wishes come true.
I know that healthcare isn't like that. Healthcare policy doesn't change overnight, and we need strong leaders who are willing to fight for us. The idea of Harris getting elected gives me so much hope. Honestly, I've been so happy thinking about how amazing it will be to have a leader that's going to fight for people like me. I can go to sleep knowing that somebody with pre-existing conditions like me will still be able to keep their insurance and will continue to make progress to make insurance and medication prices more affordable for Americans. The fact that I can even tell my story is a miracle because a lot of people that went through insulin rationing aren't even here to tell their stories anymore. So I think of that every day, and I'm grateful to be able to tell my story.